Hello, everyone. My name is Denis King, and I'm here at the EDA Summit, and I'm super excited to be joined by Sham Arora, who is the CIO and Global Head of Enterprise Technology at Standard Chartered Bank, a longtime customer and partner of ours. How are you doing, Sham?
I'm excellent, Dennis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I guess we're all working through these COVID times, but no, things are pretty good on the whole. So why don't we jump right in here and just and talk a little bit about yourself so people get to know who you are, Sham. And why don't we start with give us a little bit of background about yourself and a bit of your journey at Standard Chartered Bank. I know you've been there a very long time, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about your history and how you got to the role you're in now.
Sure. So I'm Sham Arora. I've been with the bank now for about 18 years. I currently head enterprise technology for the bank, which is basically the new horizontal that we brought to bring all of the technology stack that supports the bank together in a single team. And this is a new team that we formed about maybe 4 months ago when we brought all of our cloud teams and our foundation services team and our technology services teams together into a single team. In my stint with the bank, I've been doing multiple roles. I've been the CIO for Transaction Bank. I've been responsible for building a lot of the systems we use today, including the SWIFT system, payment systems, some of the core banking aspects, and multiple such things. I came from Citi 2003 when I joined the bank. So yeah, and I also did a 2-year stint in India, I was there when the pandemic started last year, and I got back middle of last year back to Singapore, which is where I'm based now. In my stint in India, when I was running foundation services, we also set up some academies, some innovation labs, and obviously we've been exploiting and using Solace quite a bit. It's been an excellent journey, and I'm glad to be here this morning with you and your team, Dennis.
That's excellent. Well, 18 years at Standard Chartered Bank, Sham, I think we have lots to talk about. But before we dive into some of those details, I just want, in the spirit of getting to know you a little bit better, I just want to do a little lightning round on some quick questions here. So could you tell us what your favorite book is?
Well, I have a few. So I like the Rules, No Rules quite a bit by Reed Hastings and I admire. I like Black Box Thinking, Matthew Side. I like Nudge, which is I think quite good to know and read again whenever you're getting into a new team or a new job. I like Bold. I like The Future is Faster Than You Think, both by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. So yeah, I think awesome. There's a number of books, and I think it's a very rich literature out there today, which people have access to. So there's a lot that keeps coming.
Yeah, there's lots to read, especially in these difficult times. What about your favorite movie?
Okay, so my favorite movie. I was born in India. I'm a Singaporean now, but my favorite movie is still a Hindi movie. It's called Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, and it translates to "You will never find this life in this form again." And it's about 3 friends who go for a long trip and really discover the meaning of life and how to really have fun and pursue your passions. And that's one of my favorite movies.
Awesome. Favorite band?
I like to listen to Bryan Adams quite a bit. So I listen to all kinds of music, but Bryan Adams is one of my favorites.
That's awesome. What about your favorite food?
Okay. So I do have a sweet tooth. So I like something called kheer or paisam. It's basically like a curry they make with rice and milk, and they boil it till cows come home, and it makes a nice dish, nice dessert.
Awesome. And last one, favorite sport? Is it cricket, something else?
Well, I used to play cricket when I was a kid, but not in Singapore anymore. So we do have a pool at home, and we do spend time playing pool with my kids. So I would say pool would be the only sport that I'm pursuing right now. So it's my life. I do spend a lot of time with the kids playing whatever they're playing.
Awesome. Okay. Well, listen, Sham, we're going to dive right into some of these questions around around event-driven architecture and digital transformation. And, asking someone who's been at the bank for this many years about digital transformation seems a bit strange because I know the banks are always innovating. They're always on the tip of the spear from a technology and innovation point of view. But if you think about some of the digital transformations today and some of the big priorities, and could you talk a little bit about the business problem you're solving in some of these transformations that are happening right now?
Well, we are a client obsessed and a purpose led organization. So we've been investing a lot in our digital agenda historically as well. And we've not just focused on the client experience or what they're enjoying on their channels or how the channels look or the look and feel and the aesthetics aspects. We do look at that. But we look at our client journeys and the experience end to end. So we invested a lot in our digital capabilities, making things as automated, as digital as possible. We've been working on this for a few years now. With COVID, we got a significant acceleration of digital adoption across everything that we had in our offerings across, whether it was retail or corporate side or business. We saw that our adoption rates went up quite significantly. And the architecture that we were using that allowed us to bring more and more digital adoption across a client base quite significantly. Today, our focus, however, is much more on employee experience, digital workplace, making sure people are able to work anytime from anywhere in any manner possible, and basically making the client experiences completely seamless. The other thing we're working on, and we are quite focused on the fact that the banking itself is going to change and become quite different over the next few years. It is. So from a retail point of view, we think banking is going to be basically part of people's lives rather than people thinking they're going to have to make a time to come and make a payment or go to a bank or a branch. It's going to be absolutely part of people's lives. So how do we work on APIs and basically trapping those events from clients where they can conveniently embed whatever needs they have from financial services into their lives? And that's the focus that we're working towards more on our client side. We also, from our bank strategy point of view, added two significant pillars. So we are including mass market so that we can start and continue to offer and expand our digital bank offerings to our mass markets. And we are using sustainability as a significant pillar now in our bank strategy as well, which basically means that we believe that doing things sustainably can still get us revenue, but it'll also create the world a better place. And it'll allow us to serve the communities better and longer. And that's why we now have sustainability and mass market as additional pillars of our banking strategy.
Awesome. You mentioned about the innovation and the transformation and the customer experience, but where does cloud fit into this, Sham? And I've been working with banks for a very long time, and cloud has been a difficult story for a lot of the banks, specifically around regulatory, around security. And I know that Standard Chartered Bank has a cloud first strategy, but tell me about some of the challenges you've had and a little bit about the journey to the cloud, because not only just one cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, like tell me a little bit of how that's played into the journey and some of your outcomes.
Sure. So as you said, we do have a cloud first strategy, and we know that we should be going to cloud, and I think it's very important for organizations to know why they want to go to cloud. And for us, cloud is about being able to do innovation at speed and at scale, as well as continuing to create some client offerings and being able to provide client experience in a complete, predictable, scalable manner. Obviously, cloud also provides significant benefits in terms of operational resilience, the stability that we get, as well as you kind of have to worry about tech stack only, from a certain level, and a number of other things are just taken care of when you are with the right cloud providers. As you rightly said, we also have 46 markets where we directly book business. We have 60 markets where we offer business, and hence it's not been an easy journey for us to get to cloud. And also at the moment we are running, believe it or not, 4 of our core banking systems on 4 of our countries' core banking systems on cloud. And that's, I would say, a super achievement. So how have we achieved it? Well, I guess you have to be with the right partners, you have to have the right tooling, you have to have the right architecture. But most of all, for cloud, I have to say, you also have to have the right governance, you have to have the right processes, and you have to have business sponsorship, right? It's not a journey, it's not a technology journey. Most banks or most institutions who thinks this is about technically moving something from wherever you are to cloud, or it's about building a new data center in cloud, I think they would either fail or be too slow, or perhaps will not get the benefits that cloud really has to offer. So for us, it's been, I guess, all of those. We've had strong governance processes right to start with. We work very closely with the regulators. We still have in fact, we have a stream of program that works closely with the regulators all the time, where we not only make the regulators comfortable with what we're doing, we kind of make sure that they are comfortable with the architecture, with the security, with the controls, and every aspect of a cloud journey. But I have to also say it's not that the cloud journey is done for us. I mean, we've just started, so we are still very small percentage of a production workload, quite significant percentage of our test workload on the cloud, but a very small percentage of a production workload on cloud. And we do have an aspiration to get quite big. So we're thinking about 70-75% of our workloads will be on cloud in the next 5 years' time. And that is a big aspiration, especially for a bank like us with so many countries in a footprint. But as I said, it's those things. The other thing I think one has to always know is cloud journey is not really a straight line. It's never going to be a straight line. You have to always keep learning. You have to keep pivoting. It's all about being agile in your culture and learnings, and then using those to do the next one better, and using those to continue to evolve. So I think culturally we are also set up right, and that's how I guess it's helping us with the cloud journey quite a lot.
Yeah, and are you on more than one major hyperscaler, or are you focused on one cloud these days?
Well, we have two of the major hyperscalers today that we partner with quite closely. So we use AWS from Amazon, we use Azure from Microsoft, and we might be bringing a third or fourth, depending upon. Sometimes, as you know, there are some markets where you can do cloud as long as it's a cloud that's made there or is big there. And we do have such markets in our footprint, so we may end up onboarding a local cloud provider hyperscaler. We may also bring a third hyperscaler if we see benefits beyond what we're already enjoying with the two current hyperscalers that we use.
Awesome. So, we're here at the EDA Summit. We're here to talk about event-driven architecture a little bit, Sham. And you actually mentioned agility and the need to be agile. We see agility as one of the major tenets to event-driven architecture. So, EDA is not new to the banks, as we were discussing earlier. It's been around for quite some time. But could you talk a little bit about event-driven architecture and how it's a part of your strategy and how it helps you become more agile and how it might affect customer experience within Standard Chartered Bank?
Sure. Well, Dennis, we actually were using some type of EDA in some shape or form, and I guess most banks or most corporates would have used that. Given that technology would have some events and people would know how to use them. So we have been using EDA to some extent in some native forms for the last few years, in fact, bringing some of the best client propositions to the clients, or seeing that in case the clients need us, that we are able to get to them quickly, etc. But what happened quite interesting when we got to our journey with Solace is that we said, okay, this is something that we can use across a number of our processing applications, and looking at events quite a lot in total. And we spent a lot of time in getting the taxonomy right. So as I said earlier, we have 46 markets, we have various types of transactions, we have various client segments. We even, from a payment types point of view, I think there are markets where we do 7 or 8 types of payments. So getting the taxonomy right, I think, was a very good thing that we invested time in. And once we got the taxonomy right with Solace, and we put Solace almost everywhere, we now have access to almost every event in a very structured form to be able to do things what we can. And now we're seeing we are able to use that for, let's say, orchestration of microservices, which is allowing us to go faster on a cloud journey. We are able to use that for our financial markets applications. We are able to use that for setting up our payments systems. We are able to use that for determining what the client's next needs are. We are able to do that for even technical solutions. So we were struggling to find a very predictable solution for our batch file movements, and it becomes even more complex when your geographic footprint physically is going from on-prem to clouds to another on-prem. And believe it or not, we're using event-driven architecture even to make sure we have predictable movements of data and file loads from one place to another. So I think we've gotten to a good place. But having said that, I think EDA it's got lots of potential, right? Because to some extent, as I said, if the banking has to really become frictionless, and if the client experiences have with banking or various things they do or any services has to become frictionless, then the event-driven architecture can be a real backbone for those organizations to really provide that type of services. So I still think we are scratching the surface. There's a lot more for us to achieve. And as we do more and more with our cloud journey, as I said, cloud's gonna continue to enable us to do innovation faster, be doing our use cases and experimentation faster. EDA is gonna be quite a critical piece in that to allow us to innovate faster and bring our offerings to our clients faster. So I'm very encouraged with where we are, and I know we have a long way to go, and that's why I look forward also to our partnership, Dennis, with you and your team on a continuous basis.
No, I definitely appreciate that, Sham, and no, we're definitely here for you, and we want to be on that EDA journey with you. And the fact that you brought up taxonomy is so interesting, because being in this space for so long and in 46 markets, such a distributed architecture, such a global reach, defining your taxonomy so that you can actually have a global concept of EDA is one of the biggest challenges, frankly, in building out an event-driven architecture. So that's awesome to hear. Now, I want to bring up IoT. Internet of Things have been around for quite some time, and when people think of IoT, they don't think of banks. That's not the first thing they think about, right? We've been in lots of different IoT projects, from connected cars to connected elevators to all sorts of different things. And we've heard about banks in IoT several years ago, but with 5G now upon us, we're starting to hear a little bit more about IoT and what does it mean to the bank. And could you talk a little bit about IoT in the context of Standard Chartered Bank and some of the thoughts that you guys have?
Sure. So, well, it's one of the favorite use cases that I have, and then in fact one of the experiments and one of the experiments that I set up in one of the I think I was telling you about some of the innovation labs that I set up when I was doing my stint in India, as well as the academy. So in our innovation lab that we set up at Bangalore, we built something called Future of Banking. And that's basically about a completely connected life experience where the entire banking or financial services or payments needs of a client can be completely met without really the client worrying about it. Obviously, the client has to commission it. And I guess that's another important point. As you think of EDA, you have to always think of privacy, optionality, and what the clients want you to do and don't want you to do with their data. But with the right guardrails, when you use the IoT events to really make the client's lives frictionless, I think there's a significant future there. As you also rightly said, the banks are not there yet. And when you think IoT, you think manufacturing, you think supply chains. You don't really think banking. But I guess we will be stepping into that world soon enough, as obviously the edge compute and the edge clouds become more popular. The data is being created everywhere. The clouds are more prevalent everywhere, and we are able to hence harness the data to continue to use the data to make the clients' lives better and more frictionless. Our current strategy, Dennis, is basically what we're doing with IoT is twofold. So one is we are setting up almost like smart buildings and smart workplaces for our clients, which is helping us really determine where our people are, what they need, how our utilization of various workspaces are, which investments are making sense or not, or which meeting rooms are occupied or not. So we're starting to use IoT a bit there. And on the banking side, our IoT approach is mostly to work mostly with the platforms. So we are creating and we are also partnering with several platforms, and we are hence getting a lot of IoT generated and IoT initiated transactions, which we are basically getting and processing a lot. So our approach is to go with partners and platforms and be able to offer hence to various fintechs whatever our banking services are, as we connect to whatever IoT clouds that they are connecting their events with.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think IoT at the core is often about connectivity and about events and making sense of the events. And I just think there's a massive opportunity in the banks, and I think that it's just scratching the surface right now. So it's great to see SEB leading the charge there. So great stuff. Just want to switch gears a little bit, Sham, and go back to something you said earlier on sustainability. I know that, there's an important topic, diversity, and sustainability is another important topic. And I know it's important to you and it's important to Standard Chartered Bank. And I know you guys recently won an award. Actually, you were named top 20 from Financial Times in diversity, and you guys recently won an award, Asia's Best Brand Employer in that area. These are a couple of really difficult topics, and I know that climate in particular is like one of the top 5 risks at the banks over the next 5 years. So, thinking about these topics and the difficulties of these topics, can you give us a bit of background on some of the initiatives you guys are working on in these areas for the audience?
Sure. Thanks, Dennis, for bringing it up. Both diversity and inclusion, as well as sustainability, they are topics very, very close to my heart, and I've done a lot of work. And I have my team focused and us focused on that quite a bit. And I think one has to remember one thing: diversity and inclusion. It's not about numbers. It's basically about culture. It's about what you think. It's about how you think of your people. It's about how you think of your teams. It's about how you think of your team members, and how do you bring them in every day and welcome the diverse ideas they bring. So, we've been very, very learning focused organization. And one of the things that we said is if we have to be the leading bank in Asia, Africa, and Middle East, we cannot. And we obviously serve a very, very diverse customer base. We have almost every banking product that we can offer. We offer that to our clients. So how do we bring the best to our clients? And that's the reason diversity was most important for us. As a significant part of our DNA, but also culture. So we have a lot of initiatives, but the flagship initiative that we started at technology team in Standard Chartered is called Aditi. It's an Indian name, which means that when you set an aspiration, you keep growing. But Aditi, as an acronym, stands for Accelerating D&I in TNI, which is our team, Technology and Innovation. And as for that, we focus basically on every aspect of our women colleagues and also other aspects of diversity in our workforce. So we're focusing on their retention, we're focusing on hiring, we're focusing on their growth and development. I think we've made tremendous progress, and I'm very, 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 very happy with where we are. As you also said, we are from a sustainability point of view. We as a bank I think we started leading the thought process across the banking industry. I see a lot of our banking peers are now following suit, which is great. But we believe in sustainable finance. We believe in making sure that we are creating significant inclusion in the communities. And I guess our footprint actually enables us to do that a little more than some of the other banks might be able to do that. So we have obviously Africa, where we are significantly a part of the communities in several markets, and we have several products which actually go all the way to making sure that they are able to have money in their wallets to be able to buy their wares in the morning and be able to sell it so that they can deposit the money back. And we have huge amount of initiatives around that. And I also believe, Dennis, that the companies who do not believe in sustainability or making sure that they tip the climate change to the right side or don't believe in net zero, I think those companies are not going to exist beyond 10 to 20 years. So there is, I think there is a significant need across all of the globals and corporates to realize that the way to live in the planet is to live in a sustainable manner. And if you're not going to live in a sustainable manner, it's actually, the current generations are not going to be pardoning of your behaviors if you were living irresponsibly. So I actually think it is almost a movement now which is catching significant amount of weight with a lot of the countries and corporates getting behind it. And I'm quite optimistic as to where we're going to go with sustainability.
Yeah, well, just in doing some background on this, and I was quite impressed by all of the different things I could find on yourself and the leadership position Standard Chartered Bank's taking in this area. So I just want to congratulate you guys, Sham, on the diversity, inclusion, sustainability. It's certainly a big topic, and it looks like you guys are really leading the banks in that area. So great job, great job. Just to finish up here, Sham, I guess it's related to people as well, and the COVID times that we're in. Workplace and getting back to work and workplace flexibility becoming pretty hot topics right now. They're hot topics for me. I'm sure they're hot topics for you. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the thoughts that you're having? I read something about the Smart Force initiative that you guys have. What are some of the things you're thinking about in terms of getting back to work and hybrid work environments and flexibility for your employees?
Sure. So, as you know, most organizations almost reinvented themselves last year, and some of them were able to do it quicker than the others, and we went through the same. But as we came off that phase of making sure that we are able to run a global bank with more than 80% of our staff working remotely, it's almost also a realization that dawned on us that this is something that can be done longer. This flexibility and convenience is something that we should be offering to our employees. So in a number of our markets now, and we've already piloted, and we will be piloting it in more markets, we've offered contracts for employees where they are able to now work, they're able to choose not just the number of days they work from the office or home, but also whether they want to choose flexible hours or fixed hours in the office. So we are now going completely employee-led, obviously within the bounds of what their teams and the type of work they do allows them to do. But we're going completely people-led from our the way we are going to have a workforce or our people. The other thing that we've done is we've invested a lot in digital workplace and it's a continuous evolution of our offerings. Obviously, we have significant amount of collaboration tools. In fact, I sometimes reflect that my experience working from home is better than my experience working from office now, because at home I have everything set up. I have my multiple screens, I have my speakers, my cameras, I have everything set up. I have a standing desk, and I can actually work for hours without having to even step out. Or even if I do need to step out, I step out for 2 minutes and I'm back with a coffee. So I think while the new way of working has blurred a little bit of your boundary between your home and work life, and I guess it's always important to continue to strike a balance, but it has also given significant amount of convenience in the way you're able to now devote work to some of the other important events in your life versus just work. And that's what we encourage our teams to do more and more, to say, keep balancing your work and life, and I've seen today people are hence able to do much more, right? They are able to sometimes get to a production problem at odd hours, which otherwise they would have found hard to get, right? Because they're there, they're refreshed, and their desk is all ready for them to get on, and they get in for 2 minutes and they're out. And it is just such a simple thing. So I think the world's discovered a very new and a very different way of working and living with this pandemic. Obviously, we're not out of the pandemic. We're still seeing third wave happening in India. We're tightening some of the measures now in Singapore, and we have lots of employee base there, and we are constantly in touch and helping them as much as we can. And we will come through this. This will get over. But I think the lessons it's given the world in terms of this new way of working and living, this hybrid and digital workplaces, I think it's going to be forever. And I guess it's going to be accelerating some of the innovation and cloud journey and collaboration, and perhaps even being able to collaborate on documents or whiteboards remotely, being able to capture more diverse ideas better, being able to hire more diverse workforce without really having to make them travel every now and then to your head office. All of those things are going to become easier, and we are going after all of these ideas, and I guess we are getting to a good place with that.
Yeah, I keep thinking, can you imagine how long it would have taken the world to realize what we've realized over the last 12 months if we didn't have a pandemic? I mean, it would have taken 10 years to see how possible it would be to switch, thousands of workers remote and to get that experience. So, while there's lots of bad in it, there's also lots of good. that will come out of it. And sustainability and carbon footprint will be one of them, right? So it's all very interesting. So this is the EDA Summit, Sham. So I got one last question for you, and it kind of gets back to technology a little bit. Could you, for people who are starting out on their EDA journey or their real-time journey, you've been involved in lots of projects from payments to microservices, but if you think of someone just starting out on their journey, what would be some recommendations or some advice you might give to other senior leaders who are thinking down this path?
Well, I would say, first of all, I think this is a reality. The world's going to be event-driven, so start thinking seriously about it. Don't postpone it. It's quite important an enabler for your cloud journey, for your client convenience. People think that this is something that I can also do. I think this is an essential ingredient of how you do things, and it's not an also do or an optional things for the organizations to invest time in. Now, having said that, I also think the organizations and the CIOs should think about what their real business imperatives are, and that's where they should start. And once you start creating significant advantages, that's when you start going big. But do spend some time on taxonomy, because that's very, very important, because events are some things which are useful today for one use case, but the same event is useful for 10 different use cases in future. So don't be myopic in the way you would think of your events. Think of this as an event in a client's life, or an event in a transaction, which can then lead to other things. So do spend some time on taxonomy and structure your events well as you start capturing them. But once you have that, once you've proven your business use cases, you would find that there's like endless possibilities to what you can do with this.
Excellent. Well, Sham, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a super busy guy, doing lots of great things over there in Singapore. I can't wait to get over and sort of meet you face to face. So thanks so much for taking the time, participating in the EDA Summit, and look forward to seeing you once we get past this COVID.
Same here, Dennis. You stay well, get some sleep. I know it's very late out there. So please get some rest. And you have a big summit coming. All the best to you and your team for that.
Stay safe, and thanks again.